Hi guys, it's Sarah Oliver. Today's video, I just want to give you some pointers to help you be more aware of where energy is moving, where it's going in your body. I know as triathlon coaches, we spend a lot of time really fine-tuning the form within each event to ensure that energy is not wasted and you're placing it in the appropriate places. So what today's video is about is helping you to become a little bit more in tune with those areas of the body that we have a tendency to hold on to unnecessary tension, so that when the going gets tough, when it's in competition or maybe even in a particularly challenging training session, you can kind of reset the gauge and make sure that you're placing energy in the appropriate places. So the first thing I want to talk about is breathing. As we know, we're pushing ourselves, the respiratory rate, the breathing is going to increase. Obviously, the muscles need that energy, need that oxygen, so the only way for that to happen is for the lungs to fill up with air at a faster rate to send that oxygen from the heart into the blood, into the muscles. But these are some things that you can do to help encourage you to ensure that you are breathing the most efficiently that you can. I'm not saying that the breathing is not going to slow down, but this does bring a little more mindfulness into the breath, and it does help you feel a little bit more open in your lungs and make you a more efficient breather. So the first thing I want you to think about is matching your exhales to the length of your inhales. Another thing you can think about doing is taking some nice deep breaths to kind of reset your gauge, especially like when you're running and you start to feel that side stitch maybe starting to seep in. Take some deep breaths and really exhale. Try to push out every drop of air so that you can kind of reset the gauge to fill those lungs up to their fullest to get that oxygen into the muscles most appropriately. Something else I like to do, kind of a visualization exercise, is to, let's see, for example, I'm starting to feel really tense or really sore and burny in my legs, maybe around the quads, maybe around the hamstrings, those big muscles around the legs. When I start to feel that creeping in and I start to feel like, oh boy, I'm either going to have to slow down or come up with a different game plan quickly, I like to envision that my legs actually have a pair of lungs in them. So imagine that your legs have lungs, and as you inhale, send your breath down into the legs. As you exhale, breathe out any of that yucky soreness that you don't need. You can do this for any part of the body where you feel tense. And you will find within 2 to 3 of these rounds of breathing, it really does bring some softness back into that part of the body. And it also signals your brain. There is scientific evidence here that your brain is learning to relax. It's helping you take those fight or flight hormones out of the equation. Another thing I want to focus on is places in the body that we commonly do carry tension. The jaw. Now, when you're in the pool and you're really breathing heavy, a tendency when the head is down for people is we start to clench our teeth. That does not make you faster. So just when you're breathing heavy in the pool, really be aware of keeping the jaw nice and loose even as you're blowing the air out, so that you're not wasting energy in the muscles in the face. This also applies to on the bike and on the run as well. Just keep the jaw nice and loose. Another part of the body where we carry tension is the shoulders, especially on the bike as well as the run. When you're in that time trial position, what tends to happen when the core breaks down is those shoulders start to hunch. They start to round, you start to slump down. A nice signal of that is you start to feel a lot of pressure in the arms because the core is broken down. So when you start to feel the shoulders are rounding forward and down, take an inhale breath, shove the shoulders up, back and down, open it up so those lungs have lots of room to breathe. This also, of course, happens in the run. You start to break down in the core, those shoulders start to round, we start to slump, we start to sit back a little bit on our hips, and our stride starts to lose its, nice rhythm, that nice efficient stride. So again, you can show the shoulders up, back, and down. Think about having the collarbones broad and leading with the chest on your run. Another place where we tend to carry unnecessary tension is the hands. Even in the swim, when we're really pushing against that water, we're working really hard. Of course, we ultimately would like to have the fingers together as we build strength or pretty close together. But some of us at times squeeze those fingers too tight. And what you end up doing is bringing some unnecessary tension up into the forearms, which will carry up into the shoulders as well. So when you start to feel sore in your deltoids and your shoulders, just ask yourself, where are your fingers? Are you squeezing them too tight? This also happens on the time trialing bike, on your bike. So if you're squeezing onto the bars too tight, loosen your grip. Also with the run, keep the hands nice and loose. That's not going to make you any faster squeezing those hands tighter. So those are the pointers that I've got for you today. If you have any questions,